NetsBoy, so let's hear what he has to say. His name is NetsBoy, he thinks the world is all over when the Nets just can't play. What up, Net fans? NetsBoy here, bringing you your latest in your Brooklyn Nets news. Okay, let's dive right in. Well, the Nets ended up doing what I was hoping they would do since my last NetsBoy episode. During these critical stretch of games, these 6 winnable games, I said I wanted the Nets to do no worse than 4-2, which they actually did. The thing was, though, they didn't really do it the way you would have expected them to do. They started off by losing the first 2 games to, the Hornets and then the Heat, but then ended up winning 4 in a row against the Mavericks, the Cavaliers, the Hawks, and then the great game against the Pistons. All those games, I mean, they had, 2 great blowout wins with 2 really close games in the middle of it. The Cavs game was closer than it should have been in that Hawks game. Look, there was a little part of me, just a little part of me, just a little bit, that kind of wanted Vince Carter's game-winning shot to go in that Hawks game. Because we all know Vince Carter is my favorite basketball player of all time. I always root for Vince Carter ever since, really, as long as I've really been a basketball fan. Even when he was with the Raptors, I liked Vince Carter. But so a little bit part of me wanted that last final 3 that Carter shot at the end of that Nets game to go in. Just a little part of me. At the end of the day, I was happy because the Nets won and they held on to win. But just a little, like if Carter made that shot, I would have been upset and discouraged. But at the same time, I'm kind of like, well, it's pretty cool. Carter hit that game-winning shot. But anyway, regardless of that, the Nets held on to win that game. And, the game against the Pistons and the Mavs, those were 2 fantastic games, especially that Pistons game. That was a very big game. As we know, the Nets are competing with the Pistons right now for the 6th seed. And, the Pistons are a decent team. As you also know, if you follow my NetsBoy episodes, just as much as I, love Vince Carter and he's my favorite player, I have a personal hatred. Actually, there's nothing personal about it. It's just a fan hatred of Blake Griffin. I hate Blake Griffin. I think he's extremely overrated. I think he's not very good, which goes with the overrated aspect of things. And I just kind of think that there's a reason why the Clippers never made it out of the second round of the playoffs. And I think it's a reason why when he goes to the Pistons, that the Pistons are a bottom playoff team in a weak Eastern Conference the last 2 years, that, they didn't even make the playoffs last year when he was traded to them, and they actually went the wrong direction. I just don't think Blake Griffin is a star player. I mean, a superstar player. He's a star, but he's just not a superstar player. He's not the guy to take you to the next level. And I get it. He's putting up fantastic numbers this year, averaging over 25 points a game, I think over 7 rebounds, so on and so forth, 5 assists. He's a good player. He's a star player, but he's not a superstar. He's not a franchise player. He's a great second option type of player, in my personal opinion, which is why, and I think that's evident from what you've seen from the past. So I don't like Blake Griffin. I think he's extremely overrated. I think he's extremely athletic. And I think that, just look at how he performed in that Nets game. He was held to what, like 9 or 10 points or something like that? He gets too frustrated from people who play physical with him. But guess what, Blake? You are bigger than most people. You should be out muscling people. I guess that's my problem with Blake Griffin, is his style of play. For someone who's as gifted as he is athletically and has as good of ball control as he has and has the pure abilities that Blake Griffin has, he should be dominant in the league. He should be a couple notches below LeBron James. I'm being dead serious because he has a very similar style of play. He's a big, strong guy who, let's be honest, you should be going to the basket 7 out of 10 times if you're Blake Griffin trying to get to the line and draw fouls. Instead, he's shooting these mid-range jump shots, these contested threes, or he tries to post up on a guy and they throw a double team at him, and then he tries to go through the double team and then just misses the layup and then gets upset that the foul call wasn't, the refs didn't blow a foul or didn't call a foul. Like, I hate him. Like, come on. What he should be doing is getting the ball at the top on the triple threat, get a pick, and then drive to the basket as teams try to rotate and guard him. He's stronger than most people. He'll go up and either finish like LeBron James does or get fouled that way. That's what he should be doing, not these post-up fadeaway jump shots that he takes, not these three-point contested shots or these mid-range shots or these floaters. And then he tries to post up and doesn't really have a true post game. This is why I don't like Blake Griffin. He's not smart. He doesn't play smart. He doesn't. He gets frustrated and then starts really making some dumb plays when he gets frustrated, when Kurucs was frustrating him in that game. Like, he's overrated. He's extremely overrated. I don't care what his numbers say. We saw it when he was in the Cavaliers with the Clippers. All right? Everyone's going to blame Chris Paul for some reason. It's not his fault because Chris Paul is another complimentary star player. I think Chris Paul is another player where he can't be the key star player. I think Chris Paul is one of the best point guards in the league. I'm not even going there, and I think he's better than Blake Griffin. But to me, Chris Paul is not the type of player who's good enough to take a team by himself. He's a good complementary star player, and that's what Blake Griffin is. He's a complementary star player. But to me, they're both good complementary stars, not the guys that take you to the next level. They're not the superstars that everyone thinks they are. And I believe that firmly, and I think there's a reason why Chris Paul is playing so well with James Harden with the Rockets, because James Harden is that type of player. And there's very few of those type of players. And let me be very clear with that. There's very few superstars in the league. I've had a video way back before where I talked about the difference between a star player and a superstar, and I said that title superstar gets thrown around way too much. Like, to me, a superstar player is a player who can single-handedly carry your team on any given night. Those are your LeBron Jameses, though it's not really happening with the Lakers right now, is it? Those are your Antetokounmpos. Those are your James Hardens. Those were your Russell Westbrooks, your Paul Georges. Those are those type of players that, those are your Kawhi Leonards. Those are the guys that you say, whoa, these guys, night in and night out, are the main reason why this team wins. Star players are people like your Blake Griffins, your Chris Pauls, your D'Angelo Russells, all right, your Bradley Beals, your John Walls, your Kemba Walkers, your players who are good enough to be all-star players, good enough that can carry a team every once in a while, but they're not good enough to take it to that next level. You know what I mean? They're not night in and night out. You know what you're going to get from them, and they're going to take your team as far as they can take you. Star players are just a couple notches below. They're guys that can carry you on a given night, but you don't expect it. Like, you don't expect D'Angelo Russell to score you 40 points on any given night. He can, but you don't expect it. You expect James Harden to be able to score 40 points on any given night if needed. You expect Kevin Durant, and someone I completely forgot too, Kevin Durant and Steph Curry to be able to score 40 points at any given night. You know what I mean? Superstar players take their game to the next level when it needs to be done. And star players are just guys who play really, really well, put up good numbers, and can help lead a team. But at the end of the day, the superstars are the ones that carry them for the full season and can carry them through thick and thin regardless of what the circumstances are. Get it? Okay. Glad we talked about that. Blake Griffin's not a superstar. He's a star player, and I still think even then he's overrated. Okay, long rant about that. That has nothing to do with what we were supposed to be talking about because we're talking about the Nets. Sorry. Anyway, so overall the Nets went 4-2 those 6 games. They're currently, they're currently now in the 6th seed. 3 games over 500, which is what I was hoping for at this point, obviously. They're 36 and 33. They have the tiebreaker now against the Pistons, but now they've got to continue from that. So now, that takes us to this other critical stretch of games, the dreaded road trip that everyone's been talking about. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 game road trip that the Nets have to do. And the reason is simple. The A10 tournament is in Barclays Center, and that's going on this weekend. And so Barclays Center is a little busy, so the Nets could not have home games. Tough luck there, Nets. So that's why they have this crazy 7-game road trip, and, it's going to be tough. And let's take a look now at the next 7 games moving forward. And it doesn't help that most of these teams are all really, really good. And as we all know, it's been very much so documented that the Nets have one of the hardest schedules the remainder of the NBA season. That's why I said it was critical that they had to go at least 4-2 the last 6 games. So they start off Wednesday night against the Thunder, which is really neat because this is actually a nationally televised game, which the Nets have not had in a long time. I don't think they had one all year. The Nets and national television don't really go hand in hand. And, I'm pretty pumped that they're going to be on ESPN. And I'm actually planning on watching it on ESPN, not on Yes, because I want to hear the commentators. I want to see what these everyday commentators really think about the Nets. I want to see how close they are to really correctly analyzing this team. Because sometimes the nationally televised guys, they don't really aren't as spot on with their analysts of the analysis of the teams because they don't see them as much. So I'm kind of interested to see that. The Nets really, through my history of watching them, really don't play well on national television. As a matter of fact, if you only watch nationally televised games and you're just, it's like, oh, that's the only time you see the Nets, you probably think they're one of the worst teams in the history of basketball because they always play really poorly. So I just want the Nets to put up a really good fight in that game. I hope they win, obviously, but as long as they play really, really well on national TV and maybe get some of the doubters out there and be like, wow, you know what, that team actually is pretty good. That's what I'm hoping for there. So they got the nationally televised game against the Thunder. Then they got the Jazz. Then they got the Clippers. Then they got the Kings, Lakers, and then the Trailblazers. Before wrapping things up with the 76ers, which I will be at that game, by the way. I will be at the 76ers game. I got tickets there. I'm going to Philly to visit a good buddy of mine. And I got tickets to that game, but that's beside the point. Look, I'm just going to focus on these next 5 games, really. Maybe, the Thunder, Jazz game, Clippers, Kings, Lakers. It's really simple. The Nets, you got to beat the Kings and the Lakers. You've got to. You've got to beat those 2 games. Those are the next 5 games. Those are the winnable games. And the Clippers game is winnable as well. Really, the Clippers game, Lakers, and Kings game, those are teams that it's hard to say if I really think the Nets are better than the Clippers because I feel like they're at the same level, but they're definitely better than the Kings. Though the Kings are a very good team this year, and I don't want to take anything away from them, but I think the Nets are better. And obviously, I think they're better than the Lakers with all the debacle that's going on over there with the injuries and the LeBron sitting and all that fun stuff. So, anyway, look, those next 5 games, they got to go 3-2. It's as simple as that because it just gets harder after that when they got the Trailblazers coming on and then they got the 76ers. And then even when they return home, they got the Celtics and then they got the Bucks. So even harder than the Raptors. So it doesn't get easy when they return home. So it's very, very critical the next 5 games for the Nets to win 3 out of the next 5 games. That's what I'm hoping for. It's going to be very tough. It's a tough stretch of games. Let's see what happens. There you have it. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know what you guys think the Nets are going to do the next 5 games. Let me know what your personal opinion is of Blake Griffin, if you're like me and you think he's extremely overrated. And if you agree with my analysis between the superstars and the star players, like there's different levels. There's different levels. There's different type of players. Let me know what you guys think. And keep your eyes open for the next NetsBoy episode. And until then, this is NetsBoy signing off.